Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and we are just trucking along. I'm so excited to share my hidden gems from 2019 with you, and I'm going to have Lewis join us here in just a minute. And here we are, like magic. I've got Lewis next to me, and we are raring to talk about our hidden gems from 2019.
It seems like so long ago. When Kim told me we were going to look at hidden gems from 2019, I thought, I don't remember if I was alive in that year. And then when I looked at the computer, I said, I don't remember any games from this year.
It was tough. It was a tough look.
What games were big in that year? Do you remember?
I don't, but I have it written down. So,
Okay.
It ranked 24th of all time.
All time.
Clank! Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated. Did you like that game, Lewis?
That was all right. I think you loved it.
It's like, you thought it was okay.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I loved it. It's my favorite Legacy game of all time. That's how much I love it.
Yeah.
So that is appropriately ranked.
The sequel just was on Kickstarter.
Ooh, tingles, goosebumps.
Yeah, so we backed that.
Wingspan, 25.
I've heard of that game.
Yeah, you've heard of that game?
Yeah, I think so.
34, Barrage.
Not for me.
No, not for me. It's a tougher game. It's a heavy game. It's a thinker game. It's one of those.
Yeah, I don't mind the heavy.
Games.
I think it's a game that has a lot of potential for meanness.
Or falling behind and not being able to catch up,
Yeah.
which, is important in some people's, gaming.
My memory is
library.
I used up all the water and somebody else didn't get anything and they were really sad.
And
it made me feel bad.
Lastly, one that we probably prefer a little bit better that is still super highly ranked, came out in 2019, is Marvel Champions, the card game. Do you like that? How many decks do you have, Lewis?
So I've bought all the decks.
Yes, I know.
It's a problem because we haven't played all the decks, but I keep buying them because it's
a
such a fun game.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Okay, so those are games we're not talking about.
Nope, we don't need to
We're
talk
going to talk about those hidden gems. Those ranked not in 1 to 3,000 on Board Game Geek. They are higher than that. And maybe you haven't heard of them.
Right.
I'm going to start off the list this time. I've got my number 3. My number 3 is a game called Dungeon Academy.
Oh,
yeah.
Dungeon Academy was...
Dungeon Academy is a game, actually, that we did a live run-through of together
right. We did
on my
on this
channel. Yeah. And the really fun thing about this is it uses dice in this set box, and you shake them up, and then you reveal the lid. Yeah, you put it face down, you reveal the lid, and what it has is pictures of all kinds of things, resources, maybe special dice. The more rounds you go, you get to add these special dice that do things, monsters that you fight in one of 2 different ways. And the way that you're facing the square is the way that you on your little player sheet goes through the dungeon. And you're in real time writing a pencil, drawing a path, and you have a character that has a certain level of hit points based on health and stamina. Is it stamina? It's like blue and red. You have dots.
Magic.
Mana. Okay, mana. And you you want to gather enough, but you can't go past your max, and you will lose them as you fight monsters.
Right.
So you don't want to KO in the middle of this dungeon, but it's one of those programming games where you realize that you've made a grave mistake as you start to reveal your journey through the dungeon with your fellow players. And it's just a riot.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fast, it's got great theme, and I love those mechanics of every dice, you're all seeing it, but you're coming at it from different angles, but you've got different weapons that you get to collect. If you essentially do the best that round, you get to take stuff from the center and kind of soup up your character. Oh, it's just loads of fun, and the cool dice that you get to add later on that give you like treasure chests or like portals or, just really crazy fun stuff.
So in this game, you can make some mistakes and get yourself killed in the dungeon.
Yeah.
And then when you're figuring out, okay, so how did you do? And you follow their path and you go, oh, Kim, you died.
Yeah.
And then for that round, you don't get the big rewards and stuff. And I think maybe a reason this wasn't ranked as high on Board Game Geek is that can feel kind of bad. But what we learned, the more we played, was you can absolutely come back. Like, if you have a really bad second round, you can still win the game. And maybe people, docked it a few points because it feels bad when you don't make it out of the dungeon. But I think after a play or two, you're pretty good at not making mistakes like that.
And it might just be one round. Unfortunately, when you KO, you get to earn back all your health and your mana, so you start the next round fresh. Meanwhile, other people might be really low.
Right, that's true.
And they may not have enough juice to make it through because the dungeon changes every single time.
Which is why you can come back.
And you get to score certain kinds of things every single time. So the 4 rounds, you say, well, I'm scoring the little baby monsters this time, and you get a multiplier times the baby monsters for blue, and then the big monsters for blue, and the baby monsters for red, and the big monsters for red. So it's kind of really cool because you can maximize around and say, well, I'm going for that multiplier, I'm going for this, and just have fun. It's fun.
Just have fun with it.
Just have fun, yeah. It's a cute box too. I really like the artwork. So that was my number 3 hidden gem.
Choice.
What's yours?
My number 3 is a little roll and write called Hex Roller.
Oh.
I have a lot of, I have a special place in my heart for roll and writes that are quick and easy to get out on the table. You roll some dice. This has a little map of hexes that are colored differently, and you roll and you're trying to make certain groupings. It's easy to learn. It's a quick play. It's not super memorable, but I think for what it's trying to do, it's a really great experience. Quick, easy, and fun.
And I think it's 1 to 8, so it's like everyone just gets a sheet of paper and then you just roll the dice, right? And it takes like 15 to 20 minutes to play. You gotta have those dice and card and roll and write games that just fit that spot for like, we've got half an hour left of the night. What are we going to do? Hex Roller.
Hex Roller is a good one to just pull out for a quick game.
Yeah, but it's pretty abstract, and there are those, colored regions, but really, very abstract.
I mean, there's some roll and writes that are so involved that you're basically playing a board game. You're just doing it on a piece of paper or whatever. This is one where you're visiting your cousins, and it's, getting late in the evening, and not everyone's a gamer, and you're like, hey, here's a fun little game we can play.
Yeah.
You teach it in a few minutes, play, have a good time. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So what's your number 2,
Oh,
Kim?
boy, I forgot. Gosh, I'm so glad I have this. Okay, so, you know what? My number 2 is a roll and write. Speaking of roll and writes with your hex roller, it's called Bloom. And the thing I like about Bloom is there are several different sheets you can play with that have different patterns and designs on it. So it makes it replayable, first thing. But every player is going to get one of these sheets, and they have all these different baskets of flowers. And the flowers are all different colored, and they're all in different patches. But just like that, you have one player who's going to roll the dice, and then they get to do something. And then everybody else is going to go and take something after them, or whatever. They don't take it, they take it, you can't have that one. But you take a die and you say, this is an orange 5, and you look at 5 orange flowers that are next to each other orthogonally in little groupings that can cross over flower beds, and you just circle them, and you're like, hey, I just got 5 orange flowers. And then the next person takes the 4 pink, and you take the 2 yellow, and then someone takes the wild die, which could be any color, and it has the number on it, and you just circle those. And once you take all the flowers of one kind, you yell bouquet, I think, and you get points. So if you want to race for the moat, you want to get all of the oranges and all of the pinks before other people do, but you also want to finish the flower beds, and those are going to give you points as well. So there are a variety of ways and strategies on what to draft when the dice are rolled, but it's another short game, 2 to 5 players, and it's about 25 minutes.
I remember you really did like Bloom a lot, because you would always be like, well, we've still got 20 minutes, let's play a game of Bloom, and you'd pull it out and you'd play it. It's pretty good. It's like Hex Roller in that you can just get it out and have a good time.
Right, and I don't think, I think you win every time with that game too. Some of those abstract games have a really tough time playing, but I really like. And I love the idea of the flowers. It's great. Just enough theme to give it some color. And I love the dice drafting in that. It's really, really fun. So yeah, that's a great little Roll 'em up.
Yeah.
That's what they call them, right? Roll 'em ups.
Roll them up. Roll those babies up.
Yeah. Okay, where are we?
Number
that was
two.
my
My
number
number
two.
two.
Your number two.
So my number two is a game that was, it's in a way, it's basically a reprint of an old game. It's a a vision of it. Very few rules changes. In the 1980s, there was a board game called Civilization or Advanced Civilization. And it was my favorite game in the world for 20, 30 years. But it was an old Avalon Hill game and so forth. They did an update with really beautiful cards and gigantic maps, and they made it like an 18-player game called Mega Civilization, and realized that not everyone has 18 players for a game. So they said, let's cut it back down to its normal Civilization, but they called that game, and this is my number two.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Woo! That was a long walk.
Western Empires.
Western Empires.
So Western Empires is the old 1980 Civilization game. It takes, with 3 or 4 or 5 or 8 players, you can go up to 9 players.
Yeah.
It takes all day. Mm-hmm. And you push little cardboard chits around.
Yeah.
There's no dice. There's a lot of trading. There's a lot of gathering resources and trading them in for technologies. Oh, it's so much fun. It's a really wonderful game, and the re-implementation with Western Empires is beautiful. And if you want the full 18-player version, there's the year after Eastern Empires was released, which you can put all the maps together. And when I say all the maps, Western Empires comes with, I think, 3 big maps that you can put side by side. Yeah. No table can handle it. We
did two winters ago. We played Western Empires with a group of 6. Wasn't it 6? It was almost 7, but 6 is what showed up. And
we used there's different ways to end the game. You can play to the actual end, but that takes 14 hours. Or you can set a time and say whoever's in whatever position at this time.
But based on the amount of players, they tell you which civs to play with that balance out the best. And drafting the civilizations was part of it. You get to like pick where you are in like turn order. And we also just had so many conversations, and we have a nice sized space in the basement, so it's like the chairs kick back and everyone stands up and you got your goods and your cards and you're just like wheeling and dealing, but you know someone's going to trade you a disaster, and it just stinks, and then you try to trade off the disaster to someone else.
So I think this is one of the best games ever made, but that's why I have it on a hidden gem. This game is not for casual gamers or maybe for anybody. It's for like old guys like me who are like, back in the day.
Or old guys like me too. I mean,
it was a ton of fun.
I had a fun time. I had a great time. I found myself sandwiched between 2 civs. We just, you just have those conversations with like, I won't come fight you. And then they don't believe you. I don't know why they don't believe me. But yeah, you get tech upgrades and all sorts of stuff. It's just a really great, in-depth, If
you ever get a chance and have the time to play with someone else who owns the game and knows what they're doing, you really don't even have to learn the rules. You can just sit down.
They'll walk you right through it. That's exactly what
the starting game
Lewis
is so easy. You just say, okay, here's what happens in this phase, and everyone does it. Now here's what happens here, and so after you run through the turn once or twice, you've got it. Anyway,
that's so good. That's a really good pick. I did have a fun time with that. Okay, so my number 1.
Your number 1. Here we go. The big one for 2019.
The big one. This is called Homebrewers. Homebrewers actually was a game that I played a whole first round with at a demo at Gen Con back when it was out on its whole track of, promoting the game. And I remember walking away from it thinking, that was really fun. I liked that game. And at that point, we had split up and you'd gone off to go to a different table because it was right when the demo hall opened. And I told you about it and you were like, cool, that sounds fun, great, beer. And then you just kind of like, walked away. And then at some point, Homebrewers entered our house and he was like, look at this cool game that I discovered. And I'm like,
That's true.
Yeah, it's a really
That's
good
true.
game. So I just really think this is a fun game. First off, you have these asymmetric players, and these player cards that you get don't just have a power that's different from other players. They actually have different values of what they can do with all the main actions. So it has like this restrictions, you know, in one element, but like you have a capacity to do something else like washing and rinsing and doing beer stuff. I'm really bad with these words. I'm not sure. There's like IPA and stout and things you're making
Those are
different
beer
beers.
words.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so these characters are really, really interesting and well balanced. And you roll dice to see what your actions are. And those are going to be the things that you get to do as you're preparing for Summerfest and Oktoberfest. And you want to add these different elements to your beers. You have them, and when you add these cards, they compound and they help you in future rounds as well. And it's just really, really cool and clever. And you're moving up these markers, getting bonuses along the way. And so you want to like get first in this, you know, track that everyone's sharing. And there are goal cards, getting certain kinds of beers and making certain stuff. And I just really think it's a cool game. It's not like super, super easy. I think it's that middle. I think it's that middle way. I think there's some complexity there. You've really got to like... But there's dice in it that make it fun, I think. So it's not like totally predictable.
So I still haven't done my number one.
Yeah.
And I still think my number one is the most
is the most hidden?
gems. But
yeah,
I think Homebrewers may be the actual winner of this video. Because I think you out there, if you're looking for a game that you haven't heard of, that you think you might have fun with, and that's the one to buy. That's the one. If you haven't tried Homebrewers, that's a safe buy. It's a fun game.
It's a good, solid game.
So good. That's a great pick. It's a great pick.
It's got a lovely theme, fantastic artwork. I mean, I know I talk about those things, but I really do like it. And I do like those you know, action dice. I do like me some action dice and worker dice and things like that.
Just a really good game.
Yeah.
Well, my number one.
Number one for Lewis. Here we go.
This game may not be for everyone.
Oh, no.
All my games are maybe not for everyone.
Well, they're for you, but they're your...
I love this game. This is a game
picks,
that anytime I see that someone has marked it low, I'm like, you don't get it. No. This is a game called Rail Pass. Now, people may not like Rail Pass because it's real time, but I love... It's a 10-minute game. It's cooperative. And the idea is everyone around the table has their little rail station.
Yes, like you're white and I'm red.
I'm white.
And someone's black and blue and green and there are 6 rails.
And we got to get all those white cubes into my white station.
Yeah.
And I got to get all these different colored cubes to all those different stations.
How do you do it, Lewis?
Well, you've got 2 hands and you've got trains. You can park trains on your thing. You can hold trains in your hand.
Yeah, but you can never abandon a train.
You can't set a train down. So if I don't have enough garages for my trains...
You have to hold it.
I have to hold it.
Or you
because
have
if I
to,
set it down, we are hugely... All those... It's a crash.
The train derails. You lose the cargo. So instead, you tell me, you say, Kim, I need you to take this train.
So I put different cubes on this train, and then I send it to Kim.
But you can't talk.
We can't talk. There's no coordination. So what you do is you have to get someone's attention, you have to say choo-choo.
Choo-choo.
So you got 6 people sitting around a table holding trains going choo-choo,
choo-choo,
choo-choo, trying to get them to take the train.
Then if I take the train, now I've got a train and this train, and maybe I don't have enough stations to hold them, and then I don't know what to do. There are bridges and
you set the train down and you can
underpasses.
unload cubes. And then you pick the train up.
But your cubes come in 2 different ways. You have a snake, essentially, and you can only take from the ends of your cube train. So you can't reach for the ones you just want. You can't just pack up a whole track of whites.
You can't take all the whites.
You have to take them all in a row. There are big trains and little trains, and the big trains take more, and the little trains are less.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then there's little cardboard stands that are like tunnels, and you have to pass the train through.
And you have to be touching it when someone else is touching it to make a pass off. You can't leave it and then have someone grab it. The second someone's not touching it, it is an abandoned train, and you lose points. and you want to get all the cubes to all the right stations before your 10 minutes is up.
And you might think there's no way anybody would ever set a train down on a table because that's obviously crashing a train.
Yeah, it's the one
It's
rule.
so easy not to do that. And every game you'll be like, shoot, why is there a train here?
And if you're holding a train, what's that train doing there?
Why is there a train on the table? Oh, great.
You're like, Adam.
Someone's with that train though.
But you have a train, and then you're looking this way, and all of a sudden you turn sideways, and your hand does, and all the cubes fall off. That's lost cargo. So you can't tilt your train. You have to be careful when you pass, and all you get to say is choo-choo.
Yeah.
That's it. I think Rail Pass is brilliant. Rail Pass was at the top of my list.
It's true.
And so that we wouldn't cross over, I gave him Rail Pass, but I think Rail Pass is brilliant, and I love it. It's cooperative, it's a real-time game, but it's a little bit of dexterity, but a lot of, like, problem-solving and real-time crunching.
Yes.
That might be too much for you, but it's not too much for me.
No, it's just
love
perfect.
it.
It's just perfect. It never feels super hectic.
No,
it's not one of those games where you're like, roll, do this, do that. You're not screaming, and especially because you can't even talk.
Yeah,
it's not Escape.
It's not Escape.
Which I like Escape too. But,
sure, but that's crazy.
Anyway, Rail Pass.
Rail Pass.
No one in the world has been talking about this amazing game. They need to try it. If you like the cooperative real time, the kind of mild dexterity.
This was one of the games we saw at a convention, and it was prototype. It was before their campaign, and we just saw it, got the pitch, and we were like, yes, please, where can we sign up for this thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we were kind of hooked with the pitch. So we hope we were able to communicate our favorite hidden gems from 2019 with you, and giving you some things to maybe do some little research on. Yeah.
Look into the game before you buy it, but I think there's some really good ones on this list.
Yeah, and you know what? If you've got those 2019, I know it's been like 20 years since then, but if you have those 2019 picks, those hidden gems that are not in 1 to 3,000, put them in the comments below. I want to know what they are, because the further we keep going back, the more hidden gemminess you find. Like, it's really interesting. I think the more current we are, the more, available these games are. Maybe more people are talking about them now.
Yeah.
But these are games from a couple years back, and so maybe people haven't heard of them or heard them spoken of in a while.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. I think homebrewers would be on people's minds right now. If it came out this week, people would be like, what a great design. How much fun is this? But it's been a few years, and people, kind of forget.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this 2019 Hidden Gems. Thank you for staying tuned all the way to the end, and we hope you have a good time playing games. We'll see you next time.
Yeah!